Hello, friends. Happy Cull Obsidian release day. Happy day that a bunch of you can get your hands on Thanos finally. Happy day to the release of the best variant in the game, this Thanos variant you're looking at right now. And I guess Nimrod is here too. Should you open for Cull Obsidian? We're going to look at that today. But first, hit that sub, hit that like, hit that comment. We'd super appreciate it. We bring you more great Marvel Snap content than anyone here on this channel. At least 3 brand new decks every single weekday. The most thorough and comprehensive Marvel Snap content anywhere. We are going to jump right into questions of the day. Get ready for it. Snappy Roots asks if we can really give Thesaurus credit if they make a deck, or if it's just parts of other people's decks. So this is an ironic question. Theseus is one of the top players in Marvel Snap according to tournament data, who's competed at the top of Snap Battle Arena, Snap Fan Open, and Snap Clash Open tournaments. So and the Ship of Theseus is this wonderful allegory that I'm not teaching to you right now, but I am a big fan of the Ship of Theseus as a concept, and I think it's very interesting, and I run through it in a lot of my classes. Now, there was this thing that happened during the Cozy Revis deck drama that a lot of people were like, well, shouldn't we just what happens? How many cards do you have to change for it to be a new deck? And like, it's never about the hard and fast answer, largely because definitions and identity are functions of language, right? By the time I finish this video, by the time you watch this video from when I make it, we are thousands of miles away from where we were when we started, right? The earth is moving. Things feel static, things feel the same. All of our cells are constantly changing and regenerating. The stuff of the stars that we are made from is both always the same and always different. And a lot of these things are illusions based on our perception. And I know that's probably a more complicated answer than this joke warranted, but that's the way I like to think of it. And I think it's more interesting to look at the world and try and get beyond our own limited perception. All right, Mojo the Clown wants to know my favorite 3-cost card. So my favorite 3-cost characters are Cyclops and Cable. It's definitely Cyclops. Cyclops is one of my favorite characters in Marvel Snap, and Marvel, and the Grant Morrison New X-Men run is one of the reasons why. And I especially like the logic, and I'm a teacher, so like this shouldn't surprise you, but the Grant Morrison logic is fundamentally, and these were already like 2 of my favorite characters, so this just really cemented it. Nightwing and Cyclops should be the 2 best superheroes because everyone else just sort of had to make it up as they went along. While they not only got the best training, they got to be second generation, and they were the product of lessons learned, mistakes made from generation 1 that they then were able to not make as they went forward. So props to Cyclops, one of my favorite characters, and I just want to give Cable some love because Cable started off as the dumbest 90s character, but just wonderful writers continued to do interesting things with Cable all through his history until he ended up one of my favorite characters in comics. All right, my favorite 3-cost card is Hitmonkey. I love Bounce. This isn't going to be a surprise. I think Hitmonkey is an absolute joy to play. Figuring out where, how, and why to play him, where you put him in that turn order, which location he's going to be at, actually counting his power. I count for Hitmonkey. I never count for anything. It's a joy. I love Hitmonkey. And the best 3-cost card in the game is tied with Zabu for the best card in the game right now. It's Lockjaw. Lockjaw in both Hela and Thanos is completely freaking insane right now. Charlie Oliver asks my least favorite deck to face. Anything running Leech. I absolutely hate Leech. If I could delete Leech from the game, I 1000% would. So Thanos Lockjaw, if it's running Leech, my least favorite deck. Leech Leader back in the day, my least favorite deck. Wherever Leech is, that's what I don't want to play. I don't think it's fun to win because your opponent got locked out of the game at all, like in that way. I think it's lame. I don't like Leech. I don't like Leech decks. If you'd like your questions read out in tomorrow's video, as always, leave them in the comments. Also, we were doing a giveaway on yesterday and the day before's videos. So if you're interested in winning a free season pass, I'm pulling it this evening from yesterday, the comments in yesterday's video and the day before's video. All you have to do is be subbed and leave a comment on either of those videos. I'm giving away 2 season passes that way. We're going to give away 1 more later this week also, I think. And then we've got to figure out a bigger giveaway to do because I think we're going to get to 9,000 subs soon. Maybe we're at 9,000 subs as you're looking at this. Then it's the ride to 10,000. So, folks, Buckle up, that'd be so cool. All right, our new card is Cull Obsidian, Series 5 as far as we can tell, which means 6,000 tokens. If upon release this is somehow now Series 4, sorry. It was originally Series 5, then it got data mined for a while as Series 4, then in their season video it was Series 5, so I'm going to trust their information more than the data mines and assume he's Series 5. All right, you can only play this card where you have a 1-cost card. He's a 4/10. He's strictly insanely powerful. He's one of the best 4-cost cards in the game, and 4-cost is traditionally the most important slot in the game. So therefore, he is one of the best cards in all of Marvel Snap. He's unfreaking believable. He's going to be great. This is, I'm very comfortable saying, a must-have card. All right, before we go further, let's look at the variants. There is no variant for Cull once again, which is absurdly stupid, but I don't make the decisions. Second Dinner does. They're not taking my money and just giving me variants for these new cards. I'm not opening Spotlight variants for these cards because of that. I am opening caches basically either way because I want that Thanos. That Thanos is one of my favorite variants in the game. I have that comic somewhere in my basement of long boxes, and it's one of my favorite comic covers ever. It's one of my favorite comics ever. I'm getting it. This Nimrod is really nice, but I have a hip. So my general answer is if I have a hip is I don't need another variant because I'll just play the hip. So whatever. All right. Synergies. Any deck that wants a bunch of ones, this goes with. His stats are through the roof. If you can play, I think, at least 3 ones was the math. I was talking to people and trying to figure out what math made sense, and the quick back of envelope math suggests 3 ones, and he is worth playing. His stats are through the roof. If you can get 3 ones in the deck, you should probably play him. Which automatically means Thanos has 6 ones. He goes in Thanos decks. Bounce decks have like 4 or 5 ones. He probably fits in quite a few bounce decks. Evolutionary decks can run 3 ones. You guessed it. Zoo decks can run a bunch of ones. And dump zoo decks are perfectly happy to just have a 10 that they can either leave stuck in hand for their Dracula or drop. He goes great with Zabu because he's 4-cost. That means if you go Zabu, you can on turn 4 play both a 1 and him. And yes, you can stage and play at the same time. And because he is such high power, he is really good with Scar. Makes Scar a 4/11. So a 4/10 and a 4/11 in one deck if you run those two together. Really good with Blob because Blob can eat him for a ton of power. And really good with Eliath because, well, if you have 10 power on turn 4, you're likely to win priority. He might be good in Destroy, Darkhawk, Annihilus builds, and Loki, but that remains to be seen. I think the other homes are basically guaranteed, and those are maybes. We're going to feature a bunch of decks. If you have interest in finding more decks, if you need help building with them, come find us on the Marvel Snap Zone Discord in the general chat. We took that over. All right, questions and comparison. But before we go there, I want to remind you of something. Yeah, I stuck it in a weird spot today. We are starting the Snap Judge League at the end of this month. March 2nd is when this league kicks off. You will, if you sign up, you get put into a pod of 32. You compete, the winner with 1 game a week, you compete for King of that pod. King of that pod gets a season pass and gets put into the winner's pod where they will compete for a grand prize. Since there are no data mines, we can't tell you what the grand prize will be. This is a Patreon perk for the $1 tier of our Patreon. So please check out our Patreon at patreon.com/snapjudgments. Cool. Thanks. Oh, last thing. You get to play with some of the best players, the top of the ladder players, people like Lambie, people like Drewberry. A bunch of our favorite players will be in this tournament, and you get to compete with them. All right. Questions in comparison. First, you can stage and play this in 1 turn. So if you have Zabu, you can play this and Nico on a turn. I believe you'll have to play the Nico first manually, physically, but it should still work just fine. The question we have, and we won't know this until we actually play it, is what the right number of ones to play. The back of the envelope math says it is 3, but hey, it could be 4, it could be 2. We'll learn more as we play it. We need to figure out which ones are the best with this particular card. My guess is it's the best ones as in general. But cards like Nico and Deadpool, like, I don't know. Like, Deadpool's one of the best ones in the game, right? But is Deadpool really going to be that good with this card? Probably not, right? But Nico Minoru seems like it should be very good with this card, except that if you have to play them back to back, Nico could do something to your Cull that you don't want it to. You don't really want to make it a demon. You don't really want to blow it up to draw 2, for example. So it gets complicated. Iceman, Korg, Nebula, these seem safer. Is this the best in slot 4 for going tall? Like, the best 4 is still probably Miss Marvel, and then going wide also got Omega Red in the 4 slot, right? The best 4 for just going tall right now are Sentry and Darkhawk. This is right there with those two. So just some other comparison points. Darkhawk plus Rockslide is the same power as Cull. You're getting that 10 power Darkhawk, you're getting that 10 power Cull. That's pretty good, assuming that nothing else happens to the deck. Typhoid with 0 or Sauron is Cull. That's a very specific deck. You can't run other ongoings in, but hey, it's a thing. You can also Enchantress that Typhoid. This is worse than Sentry with Annie, but easier than Sentry with most other ways of dealing with Void. So basically, you don't want to play Sentry unless you can Annihilus, right? Or fill that right location. This should generally be easier to pull off. This is way easier to use than Atuma, right? Like, this guarantees there's another card in the lane, so way better to use. And it is just way easier to use and better, more power, harder disruption than both Crossbones and Namor. This is, again, going to be a great card. Oh. Alright, our first deck is from our friend Drewberry. Drewberry will be in the Snap Judge League, will you? Drewberry has what he calls Obsidian Zoo. We love to feature Drewberry's decks. Drewberry is the king of the Marvel Snap card review content. This is going to be a really cool deck. Fundamentally, what you want to do is you want to get down a couple ones, maybe build that Kitty Pryde up a little bit, use it with Angela and Elsa to get big, play Khazar or Cull on 4. On 5, you do not, N-O-T, not, drop Blue Marvel. You instead drop Black Swan, and then you drop all of the ones. If you don't see Black Swan, then you drop Blue Marvel on 5, and then you drop all the ones in Shauna. And you should be able to, win that way. And it seems good. It's a lot of power. That Martyr and Titania at the end of the game, once you've thrown priority, are super duper strong. This deck's really cool. I'm going to play it. It's not the first thing I'm going to play, but I'm going to play it. Next up, we have the homie It's Guess Gaming. It's Guess Gaming in the Snap Judge League. Guess what? Are you? It's Guess Gaming has the standard Thanos Lockjaw. If you would like some more information on Thanos Lockjaw and the best versions of it, please check yesterday's video. We have the version of it that is the #1 deck in Marvel Snap in that video. So this is another version that's running basically all the Black Order cards thus far together, along with Karen Scar. It says basically I can use Supergiant as a replacement Leech. Cull is just really good power here, and Black Swan lets me play a bunch of ones. So this is a cool deck. We like it. Our friend Docty is in, you guessed it, the Snap Judge League. I'm also going to pay more attention to Docty's pre-release decks. He released a bounce deck last week with Black Swan that ended up hitting #1 on the Infinite Leaderboard with our friend Shuri Enjoyer. So props to Shuri Enjoyer for hitting #1 with that. But Docty built the damn deck before the card was released. So this is my favorite of the lists that Docty put together. This is a lockdown list. You can go Storm on the right into Sentry, and then if you play Annihilus, you basically guarantee yourself a win in that stupid location. You can go Omega Red if you've got Nebula there to guarantee yourself +3 in all the locations. Or downside, you can just go Nebula, Storm, Cull, Smash Face. And then you've got a 4-cost Scar to try and close the game out with, along with plenty of other cards. I don't know, 4-cost Scar and Omega Red seems like it's probably going to win a reasonable number of lanes, right? Like, a 4-cost Scar, you'd have to get Scar down to 2, excuse me, I'm wrong. So you would have to roll out. You could still actually do it. You just play Scar on 5 and Omega Red on 6, along with, I don't know, Jeff or something, and you're still perfectly fine. This is going to be really, really good. This is still not the deck I'm most likely going to play first. This is. I built this one. It's fairly similar, right? I like Darkhawk better than Lockdown by a lot. This deck does Darkhawk. I don't really want to have to screw around with making sure that I'm not getting my ones in the wrong place for Ms. Marvel if I'm also trying to get Cull down. So instead, I'm just going to go with Omega Red, and then I've got Cull as basically an extra Darkhawk. Right? Like, it plays Rock Slide for me. I can use Darkhawk and Cull as my last turn play. Right? I can go Sentry, Annihilus, Darkhawk, Cull. I mean, I win, right? And then I've got Scar as a backup plan for just another big finisher. I can even go like if I go Sentry, and then I play Scar with Hood, I can play Annihilus and Demon, or um yeah, yeah, just bajillion plays with this. I'm so excited for this deck. I want it. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna be real happy playing it. All right, this is Safety Blade. Guess what? Safety Blade will be in Snap Judge League. Will you? Safety Blade is our Marvel Snap Zone Genius deck builder. This is really cool. It's our Shuri Red Skull deck that also just runs Cull, because like the games where you don't see the exact stuff you want, you can drop Cull and win. You also have the hilarious play of Supergiant on 4. And then you can drop Titania and Martyr and basically like set up a way that you can't possibly lose the damn game. You can also just go 0 Martyr, 0 Titania for a ton of power. You can armor up to protect your Cull and Atuma, right? If you go Zabu into whatever on 3, right? Into Gladiator somewhere else on 3, into Atuma, into Cull. Just enjoy yourself. I think this deck may want Scar, but either which way, it's super wildly strong. There's just so much power just punching you. We've got our Cull by Night. This is, again, the wonderful Safety. This is the Cull Obsidian bounce list I was talking about earlier. Zabu, Werewolf, Cull, go. And then you just say, all right, so if I can just pop out a bunch of 1s to end the game with that, that's going to make a huge Werewolf, a huge Hit Monkey. If I've got Cull out on 4, that's awesome. Or I can move my Werewolf around a bunch and pretty easily get that Werewolf to 10-2, 8 or 10-2. And then I should win. This is the same deck that ended up basically the same deck, exactly the same deck. I think it's 1 card off. What card? I don't remember. It was running a different one than Spider-Ham. But it's 1 card off the deck that was the number 1 deck. It was running Enchantress over Cull and some other 1-drop over Spider-Ham. I wish I could remember right now off the top of my head, but whatever. And yeah, we're in real. Oh, Hood. It's running Hood. Actually, this should still be running Hood, huh? Hood should be in here over Spider-Ham. But yeah, this is super good. Like crazy, wildly strong, and super fun. We have Safety's Blobby Lashley. Yep, this is the deck that I think is going to be the best deck in the game right now. Straight up, this deck. Probably Psylocke over Jeff, but I'm not sure. Because Cull says if I don't have Jeff and I can find Cull, I should still win. This is so sick. This is, like, again, check yesterday's video for some Thanos stuff. Ooh, sorry. Was it yesterday's? Yeah, yesterday's video for some Thanos stuff. Next up, we have Sarah by Numbers. I built this off something Den had, and I thought I could do it better, so this is where I ended up. It basically says, was this Den or was this Safety? One of the two. It basically says if I can go Zabu and Sarah, I can put out a stupid amount of power. I can also just drop that Omega Red or Cull on 4, right? I've got enough 1s. I've got the 3 1s, so I can get that going. I've got the Snow Guard, so I have the extra way to take care of whatever nonsense. And I've got the Iceman. This should be very good. Gun ET had Big Dumb Idiots. We've got bigger, dumber idiots. We had to cut Gladiator, which made me really sad. It was down to Gladiator or Maximus, but Maximus at the end of the game with Ronin is too good. With Scar because of Ronin is too good. But hey, Cull gives us an extra Big Dumb Idiot that's better than Warpath. So we added an extra 1. We added Martyr because we already had 0 any damn way, right? We were running 0 in Nebula, so now we throw Martyr in there, and we should be able to go to town with Cull replacing Warpath. Sorry, Gun ET is in the Snap Judge League. You get the idea. All right. Also, he's organizing the damn thing with me, so there is that. Haivo. This is a nice Haivo negative list. This is saying I can just win by playing a bunch of 4s. I don't have to play Hulk, but I want the option of Hulk. I've got the 3 1s that all get bigger. I've got the Cyclops shenanigans, the Scorpion shenanigans, so I can get a nice cheap Abomination. There's a reasonable number of games where I'll go Zabu, get enough negative stuff otherwise, and then be able to play like Abomination and Cull to end the game. Yeah, this is going to be real good. I don't know what else to say. Like, these are going to be real good decks. This one, I think, is a sleeper for what could be really, really good to do with Cull Obsidian. All right, so final thoughts. Cull is a ton of stats for its cost. Stats are ultimately how you win, and if you want priority, this card is going to be great for it. It is Shang bait, but if you're running enough big things, your other big cards are going to be safer. Most people are not double shunking. We're going to check back Friday to be sure, but right now, I think this is going to be a must-have card. This is the single most likely card of this month to be must-have. I think Supergiant's likely to end up better long-term. I think Cull is basically much, 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 much higher floor than anything else. All right, our first spotlight card is Thanos. Welcome to the Mad Titan. He's a 610, Series 5, 6,000 tokens. He's a big bad, which means he'll never drop series, which means you are safe to get him with either spotlights or tokens and not have your value depreciate. On reveal, at the start of the game, shuffle the 6 Infinity Stones into your deck. The stones are incredible. They basically create archetypes all themselves. Mind Stone is a 1/1 that draws 2 1-cost cards from your deck. It was better when it used to draw 2 stones from your deck, but here we are, I guess. The Space Stone is a 1/1 that allows you to move 1 card to its lane. That next turn, fine, good card. Not amazing, but good card. That it draws is the real draw. Soulstone is a 1/1 that gives all opponent cards at this location -1 as an ongoing, which gives it tons of ongoing synergy, along with just being a lot of power. It's basically a 1/5 if they fill the location. The Power Stone is a 1/3 that, if you've played all the stones, gives Thanos +10 power, so you get a 620 out of it. That doesn't happen a lot. It's mostly just 1/3 as D stats. Reality Stone is a 1/1 that Scarlet Witches. That is amazing. And sorry, Scarlet Witches and draws a card, which is amazing. It's one of the best stones. It's a game winner. And Time Stone is the best stone. It's a 1/1 that gives you +1 energy next turn and draws a card, which sets up about 1,000 combos. Thanos is again must have. It's the best big bad for my money. It is always, always, always a card that comes back into the top of the meta thus far in Marvel Snap. All right, we covered this deck in Sunday's video. It's Revis Giant Swan. I think this deck is a blast. I think Revis is a wonderful player. You'll never guess what tournament Revis is taking part in. But yeah, he'll be there. Come play him. Join. So we've got this really cool deck where Thanos is basically a must-have. His stones are the deck here. Black Swan, a bunch of stones in Valkyrie. Black Swan, a bunch of stones in Allieth are the 2 ways to win. If you can do either, this deck is incredible. It's super duper fun. It's what I'm using for weekend missions. Excuse me. Sorry about that, getting late. It's what I used for weekend missions. It's what I plan to use for weekend missions going forward. Except that I'll have to add Cull, which is perfectly fine because this deck is wildly strong. Next up, I need water. Sorry. Next up, we have the standard Thanos Lockjaw. Obviously, you need Thanos for the standard Thanos Lockjaw. This is the best deck in Snap, or a version of this is. You should be playing this. Again, if you want details on the best version from the best players, the history of the deck, how to play with it and how to play against it, yesterday's video. Next up, we have the Safety's Thanos Lra. These two are very, very similar, right? You can tell I did a feature on the Safety one, though, because the Safety one has my own variants in it and the other one doesn't. Again, these are super duper strong. You should have Thanos. These decks are wildly good. Nimrod. Nimrod is Series 4, 3,000 tokens, former Series pass card. When this is destroyed at a copy teach location, next time series drops occur, I fully expect this to be a Series 3 card. This is not must-have, but it is both very good and very fun. Cool. It's never going to be top of the meta, I don't think, but it is, again, good and fun. Friday, we covered this deck from our friend Den, who might or might not be in the tournament, just so you know. He hasn't decided yet. But he is still going to at least help out, do commentary, that kind of thing. So if you love Den, tournament's a great place to be. It's patreon.com/snapjudgments. This is the Den Destroyer list. It is fundamentally a list that wants to get Nimrod out early. It uses Nico, hopefully to blow up Electro, and then eat it twice. You eat it once with Destroyer, and then you eat it with like Carnage and Venom, right? Or you eat it with Destroyer, and then you Grandmaster and then Venom. And it's a ton of power, and it's super fun, and it gets all over the board, and it's a blast to play. You need Nimrod for it, but you also need Grandmaster. So for this one, um, Null is important, but Null is basically your way to win mirrors, and Iron Lad is your backup Nimrod, because you really need Nimrod to win for this deck. We have our standard Phoenix Force. This is just what you do with Phoenix Force. It is the highest win rate version, the standard version. Your backup plan for the deck is you go Shuri, Nimrod, and because you have these destroy cards, you destroy Nimrod twice to end the game. And then, you get 24 power in a couple lanes, and that wins a fair number of games of Marvel Snap. It's high win rate, it's really powerful, and it's worth playing. Next up, we have Nimrod Galactus. This was where Nimrod was played when Galactus was in his original form. It is since much worse, but it's still cool. You can do the Shuri Nimrod Destroyer thing fairly often. You can do the Shuri Nimrod Venom thing if you really wanted to. You can, if you can go like Hobgoblin into a lane to get Galactus going, and then you can Nimrod Galactus, that works fine. Nimrod's not a key piece here. I think this is one of the worst Nimrod decks we're featuring, but because this is like what Nimrod was made for, Nimrod's original home, I wanted to at least feature it. All right, so our conclusions for the day are that Thanos is an absolute must-own card. You should have Thanos. You should find a way to get Thanos. Open spotlights for Thanos. If you wouldn't want to play it, like, right? If it's going to sit in your collection unplayed, you don't have to own it, I guess. But if you have any interest in playing Thanos, you should get it. Nimrod is good, but not great. And it's hard for me to imagine Cull not being great. But we've been wrong before. I mean, Legion, Loki, Ms. Marvel, etc. We've been wrong before. However, if you need Thanos, you can open freely. Just open for both, you might as well. If you don't need Thanos, wait until Friday. Friday, I will give you my weekend mission advice. And then on Monday, I will do my final review of the new card. I'll say, okay, with all the information we've got thus far, you should not get this card. Oh, great. Certain tiers of support on our Patreon come with on-air thanks. Abigail Kiesland, Mandatory Burnout, Cables, DG Wingfield, Direwolf, LAB, Father Newman, Good Dog Gamer, Inc., Jane Everett, JD McDonaldino, Aquila Platino, Caretix Lee, Koire, Models, Louis Antunes, Matt Conduit, Matt H., Old One, Michael McGlint, No Flex, that's Mikey Hijinks, folks, Ocularis, Pretty Chill, Seamus, Spike Jones, Two Ties, Tucker, X-Force V, and the Homie Min. Thank you all so much for your support. Much love. More than you know. All right. I think Cull's going to be great. I think you should sub, and especially comment on yesterday and the day before this video so I can give you a season pass. And I think you should join the tournament. I'll see you tomorrow for another Snap Take. I got a really cool deck for you. Peace.